I seen the, I watched the video clips of these guys, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta follow these guys. I'm not sure what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna get embarrassed. I do have a somewhat college education for an MA, which I didn't follow up on like a lot of people in life. They get college degrees and things like that and go through different avenues. I barely graduated high school. And the reason why I barely graduated high school because from 8th grade on, I smoked weed every day and I stayed high, and that was my goal in life. I had this vision that I was going to smoke weed until I was in a rocking chair. But luckily back then, the weed that we had was nothing like it is today. Weed today is very powerful. It's not a drug and it's okay. And like I tell a different story. It's my story. I got addicted to weed very, very early. My first mind-altering substance was when I was 9 years old. With my older brothers, we were sniffing glue and gas. I come from Compton, California, and I learned a lot in a very short amount of time. And you know, I had a lot of shame and guilt, and I'm not sure how many people watch the Lifeclass. I get really emotional, and I'm trying to learn how to channel those emotions, and I try to pick subjects that I would stay away from that would bring me to tears. And some of the stories I heard here, I was like tearing up. I know when I got picked up from the hotel, I was looking at this beautiful lady, and I'm like, oh man, that's some beautiful women out here. And then she talked about her story, and I'm like, what? And I was still looking at her, like, where are the scars at? I don't see the scars. But that's a miracle. That's God at work. God's working through each and every one of us. And I might bounce around a little bit, so if I get too far off track, you guys kind of nudge me back to say, hey, you're going too far in the wrong direction, or come back. I'll try to control my language. I've come a long ways in that area. I do speak a little different today. As a matter of fact, when I was growing up, my stepfather, who was an educated man, he sort of instilled in us to speak a proper way. And when I went to school, my black friends told me I sounded white. And that always bothered me. I wanted to sound black. I didn't know what black was supposed to sound like until I hit the streets, and I had to learn how to survive on the streets with guys that I got high with because we do a transition, and I learned how to transition from the suburbs to the ghettos. I lived two different lives, and I knew how to function in both of those lives for quite a while until my disease of alcoholism kicked in. Eventually I found myself, I crossed an imaginary line, I couldn't go back. Alcohol and drugs, you know, it's like one of those things that start off as a fun thing. Because I know for me, like a lot of teenagers, I don't know what kind of drug problem you guys have in Canada here, but where I'm from, you know, we like to party. And for me, I was one of the kids who had two left feet and I couldn't dance, but I found out when I got alcohol in my system, I danced a whole lot better. And the thing was, it just, when I drank, I didn't worry about anything no more. And I used that excuse for a lot of years, and eventually it's just, the alcohol wasn't working no more. I found myself going into other areas with my addiction. I have a construction background. I work with construction guys who do like to drink. You know, it's not a myth, it is real for the majority of us. I was also a high-rise scaffold builder. I don't know if you guys know about high-rise scaffold building or scaffolding at all, but I will tell you this much because so maybe help later on when you're talking about fears, when I'm talking about fears. I have a fear of heights. And I remember as a little kid, me and some friends were playing this area. There was something we had to walk across, and they walked across and I crawled across it. And as I got older, I found myself in a career that my job every day was going off the ground up on this scaffolding made of wood and metal of heights of 350 feet. And when I first got the job, I was working as a yard man, and I told my boss after I figured out what he was going to have me do that if I can't get over this fear, I was going to quit. He wouldn't have to worry about firing me because I have a tremendous fear of heights. I found out that I would suit up and show up every day and just, you know, gradually move or work my way into it. I overcame that fear. I respect it. I can't say I really overcame it, but I respect it. And then eventually, as I drank over in that job, you know, it was kind of strange because here we are risking our lives, and we're drunk. And that's a weird combination when you're 250 feet, 350 feet in the air, you got a hangover, you're drunk. In some cases, I've had friends where we've done speed. My drug choice was crack cocaine. And that's the one I fell very deep into. And I remember when crack first came out, I was still saying I was freebasing. Because it sounded a lot better just to do cocaine and freebase and be a crackhead. Eventually that's what it leads to for my situation. I loved it more than anything else. And my family background, you know, they were alcoholics and addicts, and I learned in my sobriety that they switched addictions to medication, painkillers. And a lot of people will do that. You know, it's weird. It took me a long time to get sober. And oddly enough, I got out of construction and I started finding new avenues of life to go down. And I started getting sober, but like I said, it took me a long time to do it. And I was sharing this, I think, in the car when we were riding over here, or I was sharing with somebody that said, the reason why it took me so long is because I was trying. I wasn't ready. I laughed about that. As soon as I was ready to quit, I basically quit that day. I haven't had a drink. And it'll be 12 years tomorrow.
That's powerful.
Now that part shows me up, but it is a celebration. And I can't hang out at the bar. And the odd thing is, I actually work for a full club where there's nothing but alcohol. And I watch people get drunk every day. And we have to kind of usher them out the door. And, you know, in those areas with alcohol and stuff like that, you meet some interesting characters. You live a different life. Some people can handle it, some people can't. I was one of the ones in my family that really couldn't handle it. You know, all I wanted to do was drink and drug and spend all my money and stay gone for 3 days in a row. And come back in and try to get back my life and things like that. I've lost a lot, and I've gained a lot, and I've given a lot away. When you talk about living a dream, that was not living a dream. Well, that was like living a nightmare for over 20 years. And I could blame it on everybody in the world, which I did for a long time, but the blame goes back to myself. It was choices I made for myself. That's all it was. And coming out here, I was trying to figure out, okay, how much of this story do I want to tell? What area do I want to go in? I want to talk about the Oprah show, yada, yada, yada. And I realized all those thoughts in my head was like a lot of the reasons why I drank. Because I wanted the thoughts to stop, and I wanted to subdue them and just have fun and just go on about my life. But what I found out when I quit drinking, then I had to deal with my thoughts. Like a lot of people, they can, in the AA program, they call them normies. You guys have a problem, you'll have a couple drinks, and you'll go on about your life, you'll wake up the next day and go to work. Me, I'll have a problem, I'll drink for a few days, I'll spend all my money and create another problem, and I have to get sober to fix those problems. It's like a vicious cycle. It's like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde syndrome, basically. And with the alcohol, there is a lot of, it causes depression, since it is a depressant drug. And you have your ups and downs and things like that. So I know for me, when the subject was suicide, prevention and things like that, I'm like, oh man, I mean, suicidal thoughts that I had over the years when I was under the influence of alcohol and drugs. I remember one incident where I got to visit county jail. They were kind enough to take me off the streets and put me in jail for a couple days. I was having a really bad time, and when I got arrested, I told the officer, I said, you know what, I'm going to stir some stuff up. I hope you put me by myself. And I was looking to go into a cell where I wouldn't be by nobody. And I had the idea, because I heard this rumor, but I wasn't sure exactly how it worked. If you said you were suicidal, they'd put you in your own little cell. So that thought came to mind, which I was kind of suicidal, but I wasn't that suicidal. And as I was walking through the jail, I walked past this cell and I looked in the window, And it was like a rubber room, and they had this guy laid down in the room, tied up, naked. And I asked him, what's going on in there? He said, he's on suicide watch. And, oh, I'm not going to use that one. There's no way I'm going to say I'm suicidal right now because I do not want to sit in there. But for a lot of the years, you know, when I came down off my runs and things like that, I did get depressed. I did get very suicidal in my mind. You know, it was always one of those things I thought was an option. But luckily for me, I had this version that I guess you could say a religious one or a spiritual one that if I was committed suicide, I wouldn't go to heaven. Somewhere somebody placed that inside of me. And I think that's what really kept me from doing crazy things. You know, I do my family background, my grandparents were Baptists and they were real religious and things like that. I followed it, but I wasn't really wrapped up into it. I was a young teenager growing up, just wild. You know, from California, we do crazy stuff. We like to have fun. It gets us into a lot of trouble. But I relate to why some people might want to take their lives. I get that. You know, the world is tough. And it is so tough that you just want to check out. Even when I was getting sober, I went through AA. I sat there and I had some friends get sober. And, you know, you show up one day and it's like, where's so-and-so at? Oh, he took his life. Like, man, he had like 10 years sobriety. What was he not doing right? And basically, there is no right or wrong. It's just an action that you're going to take, built up by a story over time, I feel. And before I got on the Oprah show, I was sitting there in my apartment, which I was getting ready to be evicted again, because I lost everything from the 2008 recession. I thought I was ready to make millions of dollars, put everything on the line, and I wasn't ready because nobody else is ready. You guys know that in California and the world economy just collapsed. I blamed myself for everything, lost everything. So when this incident was getting ready to take place in my life again, I was recovering, I thought, and here I am finding myself getting ready to be homeless again. And I was like, man, ain't nothing working, why not go drink? So those options were coming, but at the same time I was like, you know, just stay out of it. No, but at the same time, I was thinking about, why not just wake up? Why not? How come I can't just go to sleep and not wake up anymore? I think that would be great to die in my sleep. And in those areas, you know, I've contemplated that a lot. That was my form of suicide. Just die in my sleep and don't wake up. And off that note, doing the drugs that I did and going in neighborhoods that I used to visit to go get drugs, some of those times that you go in, you might not come out. Because people are in there. I've been in crack houses where there's guns, there's drive-by shootings, there's all kinds of crazy things. I've been shot in my back, between on both sides of my neck. My friends went in his leg. You talk about miracles, it's like we're all miracles at one point. I'm a miracle as well. I shouldn't be standing here. I was listening to your story about the car accident. On my 41st birthday, I drove a Hummer through a car, I flattened it out, and I walked away. I was thinking, why did I walk away? And she went through all this. It's always, why me, why me? Why do we do certain things? Why does someone take their life? Why does someone drink? We're always trying to figure out why, instead of just living for the moment and doing the best we can to help each other out. I think that's what I learned from the Oprah show, was that I felt all alone because nobody was there to help me out. I helped a lot of people out, and when I needed help, they were all gone. So, as a man, it's like the worst thing that you have going on is needing help and don't want to ask for it. It's that pride. You know, I do have a lot of pride until I drink, and my pride goes away. I'm grateful I don't drink no more, but in sobriety, it wasn't supposed to be like that. You know, here I am going on 10 years sober, and a lot of my friends are doing great in life, a lot of other people are doing great in life, but yet I'm standing still and I can't figure out why. You know, that used to bother me that other people were doing better than me. It's like, what do they have that I don't have? You know, I'm still looking for those answers and things like that. I'm just learning to deal with them. But the backtrack a little bit. One of the things that I've noticed that I had to do to change my life, and that's what we do, is we get to a point in our lives where we have to change. I had to make a statement, which I said I was going to quit, and I quit. I got help, I went to meetings. I went to 3 meetings a day, 7 days a week. I did everything they told me to do that was suggested. I got a sponsor, did one of those things in AA. I don't know if you guys know anything about AA. It's a program that you go to get help. It's just like what you guys do with the foundation. You have people on the hotline and things like that. You can call up, talk to somebody, and that's what it boils down to. A lot of times we just need to talk to someone. And I was sitting there in my apartment trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And my kids, I went to their house one day and they told me about this show that was on. It was Oprah Winfrey interviewing Tony Robbins. I knew who both of these people were, but I never really followed either one of them. I know about Oprah. It's like, who doesn't know about Oprah? I really didn't care for Oprah. You know, oddly enough, right before I went on her show, I found myself judging people. I was in a place of judgment. And Oprah was one of the people I picked. I'm like, why am I judging this woman? I've never met her. You know, I see things that, you know, what's going on TV, because that's where we mostly form our opinions of other people. You know, if they're celebrities, we're going to form it from what we see about them. It's like all these people that are celebrities are doing this crazy stuff, and we form an opinion, and you find out they're nothing like that. Media sells. So going back to the show, when she was interviewing Tony, it was at this event called UPW, where you end up walking on fire at the end of the event. And so there was something Tony said that it struck home for me, and it's sort of like a slap in my face right now when we talk about motivational speakers, because I'm seeking to go down that road in life. And he simply stated, "I hate it when someone calls me a motivational speaker because that crap doesn't work." I'm like, bingo! Finally, someone understands because that crap doesn't work, and I related to that. The reason why I say that is because I've done all this training since I've been sober. I picked up books. I educate myself. You know, I did go back to college when I left high school. I had to get my transcript, and it was 1.92. I graduated with 3.9. So I wasn't stupid. That's what I learned. But when he said that, and all these other trainings and seminars, and these motivational speakers that I listened to, and I tried all their techniques that, you know, some of you will try these techniques and you'll ace it, you'll get it. You'll be out there building multi-million-dollar businesses, and I'm over here losing everything. Like, that crap doesn't work. Why doesn't it work for me? He said he's more of a why guy. He likes to figure out why we do what we do. And I related to that because I'm a why guy too. They also call me a jack of all trades. There's nothing I can't do. And it's only I can't do when I put my mind to it. Focus. Now I can blame it on the drugs, the alcohol. I lack focus. But realistically, that's just an excuse. I have enough focus when I need it and I want to apply it. It's like drive and determination. I lack that. I've done some studying that alcohol robs you of your, you know, the drugs rob you of your sensation. I guess it's like, I can't find the word I'm looking for, but it's like the thrill seeker. I have a hard time bringing that up to stay motivated. But after he said that, I sat there and I watched the whole show. And Oprah did walk across the fire, and she, you know, she did her little thing with that. I went back home, or before that, I said, bingo, I want to study with that guy next. And then I went back home and I did some research. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen The Secret, but I went down that road when The Secret came out. I read the book, seen the movie. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about The Secret. 2 days later, someone gave me the book or the movie. Like, that's what works. Here it is. I looked back at other things I wanted to do. If I was thinking about somebody, they would call me. I give you another one that's updated. I said I wanted to come back to Toronto 2 years ago. I got a call. That's God working in my life along with other people. So, when I made that statement, just like when I got sober, I made a statement, it took effect, it took action. A lot of the other things I used to do is I wouldn't make a statement because I knew if I made that statement I was going to have to do it. I didn't want to do it. So we get honest with ourselves. Then you got to get willingness. I was willingness to go research what they were doing. I got on the computer, which one time I was scared of the computer. I come from a background when computers weren't around. They weren't easily accessible. And I got this job once where I had to operate a computer, and I was scared I was going to crash it. The guy told me, don't worry, you can't break it. So I got comfortable with it, and over the years I started teaching people how to operate the computer that they taught me how to do. You know, they didn't like texting me back and forth because I was so slow at texting and typing. Now I'm pretty good at it, you know. I've come a long ways. But to get back to that, when I seen something Oprah was doing, because everyone asked me, how did you get on the show? I'm like, well, I just seen something she did, was asking a question, and it was about pain. And the subject was stop the pain. I think, whoa, I got a lot of pain. I'm sitting here getting ready to get addicted. Would like a drink, you know. As soon as I walked in here, bar, man, I go for a drink. Because that would calm down everything, but it's not going to solve nothing for me. So I wrote into the show. If there's something you want, take action, figure out how to get there and do it. It's that simple. The odd thing was when I wrote in, I wrote this big old long presentation, and they only wanted about this much. And when I went to send it, it said, you got to chop some up. So I chopped it up. I didn't even pay attention to it. The first thing I thought to myself, here we go again. This crap ain't going to work. I don't know what I'm sending. Why waste my time? So I sent it anyways. And knowing that it wasn't going to work, I'm like, this is just one more thing I'm going to try. That's not going to work in my life. I'm one of these people, I have no luck. I have all this stuff going against me. Yada, 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 pour me. And an alcoholic world eventually leads to pour me another drink. So a couple days went by, and I got this phone call. I call it the phone call. And it was one of her producers, and I was at my daughter's house. At this time I was evicted, I was homeless, but I went to my daughter's house, which is odd enough where I'm living at right now. And throughout that conversation on the phone, she interviewed me. Morgan's her name, is her producer. She interviewed me for like 2 weeks or something like that. And they were trying to figure out how they wanted to go about the show. It's supposed to be Skyped in. So I'm just like, whoa, this is a trip. I'm just answering questions. And technically, you know, Morgan was like a life coach to me. She didn't realize it. Because talking to her, I gained a different perspective from my life. It was somebody listening. So I think it's like when I say listening, it touches me. Because people go down that road, they're like, nobody listens. So, when someone listens to us, there's hope. If you don't have somebody that's going to sit down and listen to you, you're going to do something stupid, most likely. That's, you know, the subject really touches me. So, we spoke, you know, we communicated on the phone, and they finally said, hey, we're going to fly you out. We're going to have you on the show. And I thought, cool, because they came out to my house. They did the interview. If you guys seen the show, I'm sitting on the couch, I'm tearing up, you know. This is like one of the things in the areas of my life where I don't want to speak because I get emotional. I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it. So, after the interview and everything, and they told me that I was going to go out, I sat there and I said, oh man, I just screwed up. I'm going to go on national TV as a man sharing tears? Oh, no, I can't do that. And I literally didn't want to go on the show, but I called up my sponsor, who's my friend, told him the story. He basically, you know, it's one of those guys that said, so what? Just go. So I went. So I get on the plane and I'm, you know, having really fun. I'm all excited like a little kid. And I realized my life is going to change and I was going in a new direction. And I'm happy. I'm in a good place. And I'm like, this is cool. I'm going to go meet Oprah. Everybody wants to meet Oprah. It's like, Some people's goal in life, they have it on their goal boards. I've seen it. Eat Oprah. And here I am eating Oprah like, so what? But I was at a place in life where I was so desperate I needed help. I didn't care what I had to do. It's just like when I was drinking. When I wanted to stop, I was so desperate I needed help. I had to do something. I had to lower my pride and be willing to humiliate myself. And that's what we do at certain times in life. It's like, you know what, it's either go down that road and keep going and feel miserable, or you humiliate yourself and get it over with. Figure out the lesson. So, I'm sitting in the audience, and the show's taking place, and, you know, they've briefed me, they've told me what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and everything. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my God, I've done it to myself now. I had this frog in my throat, I couldn't speak, I was nervous as heck. Talk about nervous? Going on live TV, getting ready to embarrass yourself, because I know I'm gonna get emotional, I know that. And when they called me up, you can tell, there was something Tony said, you can tell when I walked up, I was hunched over. I had a lot of shame and guilt. I wasn't standing upright. I'm 6'3", 220 pounds. There should be no reason why I should be slumped over, but when you have a story that's so sad, you shrivel up. You know, when you walk with pride and walk with dignity, you stand tall. That's what you have to do in life. You have to stand tall, no matter what the situation. Trials and tribulations. I heard that word here tonight. I thought about that. That's all we do is go through trials and tribulations. I guarantee that there's not one person in here that hasn't gone through a trial and tribulation. I guarantee that. I already know that. We all have that similarity. That's the other thing we have in similarity. I've never met none of you guys. I've only known them from the internet and on the phone. But I can tell you, we sit down and talk, we're going to have a similarity somewhere. You're going to tell me your story. I'm a jack of all trades. I've done pretty much everything. Before, people used to tell me it was a curse. I thought it was a curse because that's the programming they were giving me. See, we come pre-programmed from birth. They tell us all this crazy stuff, and I highly recommend everyone in here reprogram yourself to what you want. Figure out what you want to do in life. So by the time I hit the stage and I turned around, she gave me a hug. I've never met her. I don't know who she is at this point. I didn't have a clue what this woman did. But she gave me a hug, and I looked over. It was like, what, Oprah ain't gonna give me a hug? I was looking for a hug. If you see the show, I was like pointing at her, I want a hug. But she didn't give me a hug, and we sat down and, you know, went to the commercial. And while I was sitting in the audience watching myself on TV, I was just thinking, poor me again. Because I figured out I like for people to feel sorry for me. Most alcoholics do. And it's amazing, the longer I live, the more I learn. And sometimes things come quickly, sometimes they come slowly. What you guys may get yesterday, it may take me a lifelong time to get, but I will eventually get there. So when I figured that out, things started changing. I started seeing people that they asked everyone to stand with Steve. Everybody stood up, and I thought, whoa, this is a trick, standwithsteve.com. See, I am an entrepreneur. I'm thinking I'm going to start another business. And after the show, I'll speed this up a little bit. After the show, I got on the phone to my son, hey, .com, everything will stand with Steve now. He did. And while I was thinking about that, I was looking around and seeing all these people. I think there was like 5,000 people in the audience. And it didn't dawn on me that I was going to have to sit there and tell a little bit more about my life and find out more about my life. And she touched some subjects that was very touching for me. You know, she talked about my mom. Those were touchy subjects. I didn't grow up in a household that, you know, you talk about love all the time. You know people love you, but you didn't talk about it. Hugs. Didn't do a lot of hugging. When I got sober, I walked in AA and I had these people come up to me and they put their hands out and hug me and back them up like, no, you need to back up. I just don't like personal connection or contact. Now today, I have no problem with that. I hug people. I hug strangers. At this club, I give people hugs. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I like to embrace people because that's how we make a connection. It works for me. I like to be happy, and that fills me with joy. But when she touched those areas, it opened up the door, and I got to think about life a little bit more. Because I don't know if you guys realize that when you wake up tomorrow, you're going to think about life a little bit more. You're going to think about what happened today. Some of you might say, okay, he touched something, she touched something, he said something, blah, 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 but you're going to get something from it, I guarantee it, because I've already gotten a load of information. I've seen my life, why I'm here right now. I already know why I'm here. And, the show went on, and a lot of people wrote to me after the show saying they got a lot out of it. They're standing, I'm looking at all these people saying, standing with Steve, I'm standing with Steve, I'm standing with Steve. Well, that's cool, that's cool. But realistically, I was still in shock. All this hasn't really set in with me yet. And the reason why I say that is because, remember, I felt all alone for a long time. I was doing pretty good in 2007, 2008. I made a real estate deal. I had quite a bit of money in the bank. Had 2 houses. One house was sitting on 3 lakes. Water park. Had the Corvette. I always wanted a Corvette. Got a Corvette. I was driving it thinking they were going to take it. I'm like, hey, that's not true. Rich people do not drive Corvettes because I'm broke right now. I had that Corvette, but I came across some money, made some deals, and I lost it all. My mind wasn't mentally prepared. I've read Napoleon Hill's books. I got some books over there. I'm trying to hold with my books. Every book he mentioned, everything, I've read those books. And I know the stories, and I tried those, and it does work. But you got to stay focused on it. You got to stay determined. And I was trying to sink in. I'm sitting there like, okay, I just met the $1 billion woman everybody wants to meet, and she's a very humble lady. She came out in the opening. She had all these, what she calls cute high heels. And as soon as commercial break comes on, she says, oh my God, these things are hurting my feet. Who wants them? She gave them away. She walked around in these flats, and she just joked around with the audience. I'm like, this is a different perspective. I was all wrong about this woman. She's actually kind of nice. You see, when we go into judgment of others that we don't know nothing about them, that's where we lose track at. I come in here, I'm from I'm from a different culture, from a different lifestyle, different city. And I can judge each and every one of you because I've never seen you or had interactions with you per se. But I'll sit back, and if I'm in my disease, I'm going to judge you. That's what we do in a disease of judgment. It serves no purpose. So I try to stay out of that area, and I'm grateful that I do stay out of that area. I do think about it, but I'm able to pull myself out with all the tools and strategies I've learned over the years from reading books, dealing with other people, in AA, because I've heard a lot of crazy stories in AA, that I'm able to look at myself and say, hey, if I'm pointing at you guys as the problem, I got these 3 fingers pointing back at me as the real problem. And that's what we forget. It's like the real problem is right here facing us in front of the mirror every morning when we're judging other people. So those are the little things, little tidbits that I utilize in my life today. Like I said, I bounce all around the place, which is a good thing because for me, that's what keeps me going forward. I can bounce here and pick up on something and bounce back, but I hope I keep you guys in alignment with me. But if I don't, I apologize, because right now it's about me. It's about me and my life, how I move forward and help somebody else, because I guarantee when I'm talking, there's somebody else sitting in the corner doing the same thing. And all I have to do is touch one person. If I can touch one person, then I've done my purpose. My purpose has been served. But I realistically, I hope I can help out more than one person. Because I had complete strangers, which was Oprah Winfrey, Alan Benzan, Tony Robbins, help me out. In society today, we're very harsh about wanting to help other people out, unless it's going to be something in it for us. So that's what it boils down to, especially if you're a drug addict. I'm going to help you get what you need, but I'm going to need what I need too. We're going to do a little partnership deal here where I'm going to take you, but I need something in return. That's how it is in life today. It's give and take. It should be more giving. Yeah, you do suit up and show up. When I got into photography, I was talking to the young man with the photography, with the camera. I was helping my daughter out when she wanted to be a model, so I'm like, hey, I can do the headshots. Remember, I'm a jack of all trades. I bought a camera and I did her headshots. She got the job. And I ended up doing photography for 7 years professionally by helping her out. And for about 5 years, I went to these events like this, and I just did photography. I took pictures, gave them away for free. I found out that's what my passion was, that's what my hobby was. And when I put money to it, it bothered me. So I eventually wanted to get out of it. I just wanted a hobby, and I wanted a passion. And some people say that you just need one passion. I'm a man of many passions. I have many hobbies. There's things that I like to do. I can't focus on one thing, but I need to learn how to focus on more than one thing, but achieving everything that I want to do. It's like stop, focus on this one, get it done, move on to the next. But I can beat myself up. That's what I think a lot of people do in society. They beat themselves up. It's like, yeah, I'm going to come here. I'm not going to be perfect. If I could turn the plane around, I'd get up there with the pilot and tell him, let's turn around and change my mind. I don't want to go to Toronto because I got 2 speakers that are excellent. I've already seen them, and I'm going to be intimidated. But that's not the mission I'm on today. So the mission is go forward and keep going forward. So, oddly enough, I was sitting there, the show was over, and they take me back to the green room where I started off at. I had my camera gear. I used to travel everywhere I went. I took my camera gear with me. And as a photographer, I was like, there's no way I'm leaving here without getting a picture of Oprah. I'm getting that shot. And the people, the producers, I asked them, I said, hey, how can I get a picture of Oprah? And the lady says, hold on, I'll go check. And I'm like, she doesn't really seem like she wants me to get a picture. I thought, that sucks. I'm not going to get this picture. I know enough about life to get a picture with Oprah. Everybody wants that picture. I'm going to get it. So I'm standing there, sitting down, and somebody else comes in and says, hey, Oprah wants to take a picture with you. I'm like, cool. She wants to take a picture with me. That is an amazing thing when someone wants to take a picture with you. That's that famous. So he walked me up, and there's a picture I put on Facebook with me and Oprah, and someone else that took that picture. And that's what Oprah literally said. She said, literally, standing with Steve. And I thought, standingwithsteve.com, here we go. We're going to knock this one out. I am running this business. And, from there, I was still in a daze because, I got to hang out with Oprah a little bit and meet her. She went off in her limousine, and I went back to my hotel. And there was people out there waiting on me and stuff like that. They were saying hi and they were hugging me and things like that. I had an interview with a well-known blogger. They took me out to dinner. And I'll remind you guys, I'm not used to hanging out with certain people. I've adapted, but I'm more comfortable with drug addicts and alcoholics. This little setup right here, I've come to learn how to be comfortable around you guys. See, you guys come from a different lifestyle than I'm used to. But that's the story. And that's what I was doing. That's when I always said you're addicted to your story. I caught on to that because that's why I stopped going to AA meetings so much, because we sat around telling the same story over and over and over. And I had this thing that I joke around with it about, and when I coach people that are on antidepressants and things like that, I'm very careful with it because I am very open and forward. I tell them, well, if you get off your story, you probably have to get rid of your medication. I have to be careful with that. I have to put it in writing. Please keep seeking help. Get a doctor. Don't take everything I say literally for, like a doctor's opinion. But I noticed that when I sat around and I told a depressing story for years, I wasn't feeling happy. I can't think of anyone that can sit by and tell a depressing story and find happiness out of it. If you can, I don't know how you did it. You're a unique individual. But I do know if you change your story and you get all these tools and strategies and you plan to your life, you figure out what it is you want to change about your life. For me, I wanted to change one thing, and that was everything. It was simple. I had nothing solid to work with because society, friends, family, they all gave me my first foundation. And I wanted something for myself. I wanted my own God. I found my own God. I have a spiritual higher power. I wanted peace in my life. I wanted to be happy. I put all those things down. I tried the goal board. That didn't work out. I tried all these other plans. Nothing seemed to work out, or I wouldn't have went on Oprah shows. I tried it beforehand. But when I was at the airport leaving the show, to back up a little bit, Oprah told me after the show, when we were talking, she said, how would you like to, she asked me something about Tony Robbins. She said, how would you like to go see him? I said, oh, I would love to go see Tony. And Oprah told one of her people, make that happen. I'm like, whoa, that's a trip. Oprah said, make it happen, it should happen. I'm going to the airport, my luggage is on the airplane, I'm sitting there thinking, I thought I was going to go see Tony. And it's the first time I had a belief in somebody that I didn't know. When they said, make it happen, it was going to happen. I said, Oprah said it was going to happen. It's going to happen. A few minutes later, I got a phone call, and it was Morgan, the producer that had been working with me. She said, hey, Tony just texted Oprah, he wants to help you. I said, cool, it's happening. And literally I had to get my stuff off the plane, fly to New Jersey. And I spent 4 days with one of Tony's trainings. And I thought this was cool. I was also in New Jersey. I always wanted to go to New York. Remember when I said, you think it's going to happen just like Toronto? I always wanted to go. I'm here. I was 45 minutes away from New York, so I hopped in a cab and I came to New York. But I also had this perception of New York, and it goes back to when I was younger and watching TV, that when you go to New York, you're going to get robbed. You're going to get mugged, robbed. That's just my perception of what I thought about New York. That's what I was programmed for. So I had all this equipment with me, and I was guarding with my life, and I get out in New York, and I notice people are walking by, and no one's paying attention to me, and they're all smiling and waving, and they're friendly. I'm like, holy smoke, New York is nothing like I thought it was. I got comfortable because I had to find out the truth. The truth was, when I went somewhere, everything that I learned from someone else was a lie. That's what a lot of life is. It's a lot of lies. They don't mean to lie to us. Ratings and things like that, media sells lies. I won't get into that, but my perception was wrong. So I changed my perception. When I went to Tony's event, I had one thing in mind that I was going to do. And I knew a little bit of Tony's events. And basically, you do a lot of crazy stuff. He's a real hyper guy. He's way taller than me. It makes me feel like a little kid. And I walked in, my first thought was, no matter what they tell me to do, I'm going to do it. Willingness. I want it to change. If you're not willing to change anything about your life that you want to change, it is not going to happen. At least it's not going to happen in a reasonable amount of time. When you're willing to change and you're willing to take action, I guarantee you're going to see changes. May not be the ones you imagine, but you're going to see changes. So when I get in there, they're bouncing around. He comes out on stage, and everybody's dancing, and I'm hopping around. And, oh, God, I hope I ain't got to dance because I can't dance. But those are the thoughts again. Give me a couple drinks, I'll be dancing. We'll have a good time up in here. So we went through the training, and Tony touched upon some subjects that really made a lot of sense to me. He opened my mind, opened my eyes, and I just tuned in. You know, I was writing, I was doing everything. I spent those 4 days, we spent like 18 hours or 16 hours the first day, and I was tired. And he prepares you to walk across fire. And the fire is a metaphor for things in your life. And oddly enough, before that took place, I was sitting there on the setup, and I had this lady tap me on my shoulder. She said, Steve, I'm Gail. I'm like, hi Gail, how you doing? I didn't know who she was. It was Oprah's best friend, Gail. And I looked at her like, oh, you're Gail. So, we spoke a little bit, so I got to meet Gail, and we did the fire walk together. The thing about the fire walk was, years ago, me and my brothers went with some friends to the Colorado River. It's about 120 degrees out there. We were going down the river. I took my shoes off, and I went towards the dam. I made the mistake of taking my shoes off, my flip-flops, because I didn't realize I wouldn't be able to walk back up that river. I thought I'd be able to come back up the river the same way I went down with the current so strong. It's like life had kept pushing me back. Eventually, I had to look over. Everybody else took off back to campsite. I was by myself. And as I hit the ground was hot. just like life, sometimes it gets hot in life. You got to make choices. You're going to make the right choice and the wrong choice. You're going to be under pressure. And as I started walking, my feet were literally burning. And I kept trying to find a rock, and I would go over and I would just put my feet up like this, just try to conquer this little thing. But I went back to the river, tried to walk up. We do stupid things. We try to repeat the same thing over and over, which is called insanity. Because, it's like, hey, why am I going to go back to the river? I just left. I had to walk back over the hot coals. Remember I said I walked over some hot coals? Eventually, when I knew I couldn't take on the river because it was too much of a struggle, the river was more powerful than I was, I eventually found my way back to camp, which is like a half-mile away. And I always had that story was, man, Superman does not have nothing on me because that ground was hot. When they talked about the firewalk was only probably about as long as the stage. I looked at it and I thought that was a joke. Like, are you serious? That ain't nothing. Everybody else had a hard time with that firewall. In my mind, I'd already been through that challenge once in life. And that's what we do. We should be able to find some similarities in life that we've been challenged with. And we can make our decisions based off of that. That should help us out. So when I realized that, I'm like, that's going to be a joke. I didn't want to act like I was bragging about it. I didn't want to be all, I'm macho, I'm going to do this like it's nothing. I realized I technically never walked over hot coals before. So I better pay attention. Because prior to that, he gets you pumped up, he gets you ready, and he has you saying this, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. And he prepares you mentally. That's what we have to do in life. We have to prepare for life mentally. They don't really tell us that sometimes in schools. Our parents don't tell us. Sometimes they do, but if you're anything like me, you're too hard-headed, you're not going to listen. Because at 13, I knew everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. I could tell my parents everything in life. I knew everything that they didn't know, but come to find out, when you put the fork and the lights on, you get shocked. I had that same little scenario with my kids. I told my son, do not do that. And I sat back and smiled because I was waiting for him to do it, because he did it. It's just like his dad. We do stupid things sometimes. If it doesn't kill us, it makes us brighter, and smarter, and stronger. So when I did eventually go over the fire, I listened to Tony, I got focused, and I went across it. And he said, sometimes when you come out the end, your feet are going to burn because you're going to have a coal stuck with you. I was sitting there, and I was sitting on the sidelines waiting for somebody else to go. Sure enough, I had a hot coal on my toes, and I had to kick it off. But see, I think the moral of my story there is life is going to be hot sometimes. It's going to be unfair. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. You pay attention to those that have gone on before us. Because see, I sit here, I listen to your stories, I learned a lot. Now it's up to me to take those stories, figure out how I'm going to apply them to my life. In case you guys didn't notice, I've already applied what I've learned tonight. I stood up here, I took on the challenge, I took on the fear of facing it face to face, and I'm succeeding. I'm not sure how well I'm succeeding, but I know I'm succeeding enough for me, because this is something that I would never do before. It's just I have that much fear of things. I would have had a drink first. But see, I've come a long way, so thank you. Come a long ways in life to where I don't have to use scapegoats anymore. Food, drugs, alcohol, sex, you name it. Those are all part of addictions. We all have a crutch we're going to fall on. For women it could be a man, for a man it could be a woman. Things like that. We just, we do stupid things. Walking over fire was probably a stupid thing, but with the proper guidance, it was the smartest thing in the world a person could do, because it'll teach you that you can overcome your trials and tribulations in that metaphor. Every time I think I have to do something I can't do, I think about that. Well, not his firewalk, I think about my firewalk, which was longer. It was a lot hotter. But the odd thing is, when I make that statement, I want to train with Tony, I got to train with Tony. He invited me. It's all because I made a statement. And that was the power of my God working in my life. He lined everything up. All I did was, I I'd like to call it God-given instinct that, hey, I need some help, I'm going to reach out. That's what people have to do in life. When you're stuck somewhere, you have to reach out. I was stuck in life for a long time. I still tend to get stuck. For the past 2 years that show took place, people ask me, how come you're not further? I'm not further because I haven't went further. I'm going further today in my life. I can't beat myself up because people expect bigger and better things out of me. I expect bigger and better things out of me. But I understand that it comes on God's timing. The reason I'm here today, I feel, is to help someone else. But there's a saying in AA that when I sit down with someone and tell them my story, I get more out of it than they will. Because I've sat down with some people for like 10 hours listening to their stories. And come to find out, they're telling me my story. It's a reminder of where I've been, where I'm going, what I need to do to stay out of that area. So I listen, you know, I'll be over here texting or something like that. I'm not really texting, I'm tuning in because I'm getting distracted. I have to find ways to work with my abilities. Some people call them disabilities. I call them abilities. We all learn different ways. Some people are visual learners. Some people are numbers learners. As soon as you mention numbers, I tune out. I'm not a numbers person. I will not show numbers. But I need to because that helps other people learn. My goal is to make sure that everyone I talk to, everyone I help, I try to come across to them in the way they learn best. I was told that the education system sort of robs kids their education because you can have a kid that is not a visual learner, the teacher, or the kid's a visual learner, the teacher's trying to teach them a different system than what the kid's used to learning. You have to tap into the kids' learning capabilities. Tony Robbins talks about that. I relate to that. I'm a good student. I'm not dumb. I'm smart, but I'm only smart when I want to be smart. You know, you gotta be willing and ready to change your life and do the necessary things to do. I never read a book in high school. We had to read books, but back then it's like when I did my book reports, I did it in different avenues. I just copied my stuff right out of the encyclopedia. Now, some of you might not know what an encyclopedia is, but that's what we were forced to use back in the day. And what I've learned today is that when I pick up a book, I absorb a lot of information. And some books, I just absorb more, and some I will not finish reading because I do not relate to it. It just doesn't catch my attention. I'll come back to it. The first book I did read, cover to cover, in 8 hours, was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think everybody that's ever been in personal development business read that book. From there, I started reading all these other books, and I started finishing. Napoleon Hill, he's got some great stuff out there. One day, I will be an author. Should have been already. Because I listen to these guys, man, they're doing it. There's no reason I can't do it. I got a lot of information I can share. The difference between me and them is they were focused, they were determined, they put pen to paper and took action. That's what I don't do all the time. But I'm learning, I'm progressing, I'm going on. The other thing is, I can sit here and say, hey, you know what? I just turned 50 years old in March. Time is running out. Or I can say, you know what? I should be able to live to 100. So I got another 50 years left in me. Age is just a number anyways. You know, I have people tell me, you don't look your age. I'm like, why, thank you. I don't feel my age either. I wake up in the morning, I feel pretty good. I work out, not as much as I used to. I change my diet. I change my routines. I did a lot of things that really was the opposite of what I did in high school. In high school, I was a drug addict and alcoholic. I didn't play sports, although I was a very good athlete. I just didn't play for the school. You know, I was one of those students that, hey, I excelled in a lot of things that I put my mind to. I think I keep stressing that you put your mind to it, because there's a couple people in here that are younger, and they're probably at this stage in life right now. It's like, what am I going to do with my life? What do I want to do? It's like, put your mind to something that you enjoy doing. You find your passion. It took me a little while to figure out that I want to speak. I had to get over my fear. I like speaking. I feel like I'd be very good at it. Now, am I the best speaker today? In my book, no. But when I go home, I'll take notes. I'll figure out what I need to improve on, things like that. Maybe I should go in more detail in certain areas, lay out names, but I have to figure out how it works for me. Everything in life, we do need to put goals down. I've never had a goal. I don't write goals down to this day. It helps for other people. You see the ones that put goals down, they're excelling in life. Me and my goal, I'm still hanging back. But I'm learning it's time to get out of my way and start doing what the successful people are doing. And that's why I read these different books. It's like, hey, these people are successful for a reason. Why do I have to try to reinvent the wheel? I always try to reinvent the wheel. That's just my nature. I got to change my nature. I got to do some more reprogramming. So the reason why I share all this is because I know for a fact that everybody in here has fears and insecurities someplace in their life. The best of them do. Oprah has them. Tony has them. Napoleon Hill had them. There's nobody that I can think of that doesn't have fears and insecurities. There's not the problem with having them, it's the problem of not dealing with them. There's a lot of tools and strategies out there on the market today. You can look around your parents, your friends, the school systems, and learn how to deal with your insecurities and your fears. You know, every time I suit up and show up to go somewhere, I pay attention and I listen. That's one of my gifts. I do listen. I may not, you know, people look at me and think I'm not listening. But I'm tuning in because there's certain things that pop in mind, be like a key subject, a key word, and say, patience. That key word is something that I know I need because for a long time I used to pray for patience, and then I learned I stopped praying for patience because every time I prayed for patience, God was putting some idiot in my life that kept driving me crazy. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. Stop praying for that one. So I stopped praying. You know, I still get idiots in my life, but it's not as bad anymore. Some things, you know, there's a saying, watch what you pray for. It's very true. You know, you really have to have a clear direction of where you want to go in life. If you have that clear direction, you're going to get there faster. It may not be as fast as you want to go, but you're going to get there faster and not having that clear direction. I know that for a fact. So, if there's anything I said today that helped anybody out, I'm truly grateful for having this opportunity. I want you guys to know you guys helped me out a lot more than I can ever help you out. For one thing, that coming here, you gave me a sense of a purpose, of something that I can do in my life that will help others. Saving a life, I would love to say I've saved lives. I don't know if I ever have done that. People tell me I've saved their lives. I don't know. It's like, hey, I just share myself. I come here, I come authentic, I come real. That's how we have to live in life, authentic and real. It goes back to having a set speech. I was just doing some training, and it was on Les Brown. He said he does not memorize anything, because a lot of times when you memorize something, you look at the audience and you have to switch it up. That was one of my fears. I was like, okay, I have the time memorizing anything already. Now I'm going to spend all this time to try to memorize something. I'm going to get here and get all nervous, frustrated. And these two speakers are going to say what I just wanted to say, and I got to switch up, but I can't. See, it's okay to be able to switch up. If you have a lot of information from the education you're gathering, there's tools and strategies that you can switch up. If there's a roadblock, it's just a temporary roadblock. You go around. Nothing is permanent. There's nothing you can't conquer. There's nothing you can't overcome. Just when you think the worst part of your life is hit, talk to someone else and have them share their story with you. Because you'll find out their story is worse than yours. It's always been like that. I was sitting in an AA meeting one night, and I was having a bad day, and I told this guy, I said, hey man, I'm having a bad day, all this stuff took place. And he told me, I just rolled my truck and lost my home all in the same shot. I go, man, your stuff sucks. So my day was looking a lot better. I want to thank you guys for having me out here.
Thank you. Thank you very, 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 very much. How are we with time? I think it's, we have to be out of here by 8 o'clock. But I still have, I would love to do the activity, so please don't leave. And I have a song to share with you. This song is called Bring Out Diva. And I wrote this song in the spirit of inspiring